Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade. I hope you're enjoying your weekend and getting ready for the upcoming week. Special welcome to the new people, of course. And as you could see in the title, it pretty much explains it all. Your weekly trading plan. As I always say, and the traders like to use this phrase, you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. Few things about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman, Senior Account Manager at AvaTrade. My overall experience is over 23 years now. I started as a prop trader back in New York. I did it for about 11 years straight. Super stressful and exciting environment. And after that, I left this excitement for a less stressful trading. And I continue to mentor and educate traders. Currently, I'm very happy to have an opportunity to help our customers at AvaTrade. Now, the agenda of the webinar is pretty much the same every week. We talk a little bit of a big picture, then we discuss indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. Risk warning, you can find a full statement at avatrade.com. And what we do here is purely educational, of course. And the channels. And again, as I promised to change, the bird is gone. And this ugly X is there. I don't really like it, but I guess if you bought the company for billions of dollars, you have a right to change the logo, I guess. Again, not judging, just the bird was pretty cute. So the channels, you have Telegram, you have Twitter, and my favorite, as I always like to say, a YouTube channel. You have a lot of tutorials, educational materials. You have webinars that are being recorded. You might be even watching this webinar on YouTube. And please, I'd like to ask you to leave your comments. Definitely, if you like it, put the like or the thumb up, and share it with your friends and people that you think might benefit from this. Okay, before we go to economic calendar, just a few words about what happened last week. It was an intense week. We started with one of the rating agency, Fitch, downgrading, excuse me, downgrading the U.S. To AA plus from AAA. That's the credit rating agency, and immediately was a response from Janet Yellen, who was the Treasury head of Treasury, I guess. And she said that the rating is not right. They're using old information and so on. I agree with them. I think it's a good thing to see the truth. They were very concerned about the issues with the debt ceiling and the way things are. That includes the politics and everything else. So that triggered. I'm not sure if that was the reason. Maybe the market was just waiting for that spark. So we did have a sell-off this week. We're going to go into the numbers in a moment. So that's how the whole week was pretty much sell for the equity markets. Okay, and then we had NFPs on Fridays and the numbers came to 187,000 jobs added in July, and expectation was 200,000. So it's a little bit of a cooling, which is kind of a positive in a way for the Feds. But I was researching, and someone whose name is Megan Lenhardt of Barron said, I'm quoting, that though the labor market cooled, it is still too hot for the Federal Reserve. And of course, the unemployment declined as well to 3.5 from 3.6. So that just continued the sell-off in the market when we sold at the lows. We'll take a look at the moment as well. So that's kind of a big picture, right? So we had Fitch started the week with sell-off, and then NFPs ended the week with continuation with sell-off. Okay, economic calendar in a few words for new people. that this might be new to you. So economic calendar is the announcements here are public information. You can find it with us on WebTrader or on the app AvaGo. You can also use a third party. Like I said, it's a public information. A lot of suppliers or providers are publishing this information. So here, what I do, I posted high impact information only. You can filter it. You can choose what works for you. I just took the most important ones. So again, some people might ask, do I really need this economic calendar? I know some people prefer to go deep into fundamentals. Some people just ignore them. But in my opinion, I think it's good to be aware of these things when they come out, especially like the one we just had on Friday, NFPs. This time it wasn't a lot of moves actually, um, a lot of super spikes like usually, but the announcements are sometimes creating spikes and volatility in the market. So you want to be prepared just in case. So upcoming week, again, the high impact events only I have here. We have CPI numbers from Germany, and then Wednesday we have CPI numbers from China, and also inflation numbers from New Zealand. Thursday, a busy day for inflation numbers from US, and these are being followed closely by the Feds in their decisions. So CPI numbers on Thursday from US. Friday, we have GDP numbers from UK, PPI numbers, another important number for the Feds, and the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, which is also important. It shows how consumers or regular people are looking at things going forward. So these are the things that economic calendar has for us for the upcoming week. Okay, so let's move to the numbers. Now, before that, I thought this would be really important to show the VIX index. Some call it fear index, volatility index. There are a few definitions. So it's been oversold, and I mentioned to you a few times when we were around 14, and then we tested the 13. It was super low. That logically thinks the market could be overbought, and it's time for it to go lower. So we did have a nice jump few weeks back. Then we came back to retest the lows. I marked it in blue here. And then we actually had this run on Friday, and we closed above the previous high, which could be showing a bullish sign for VIX. And that means that the market might continue selling. That's if we judge by the VIX. But it looks like we're coming out of woods. It's been oversold, or I mean, super low for a while. Usually around 17, 16, things turn around. And let's see what this week brings. Okay, so let's go into the numbers. We'll bring the MT4. So just to give you the numbers, we'll start with Dow Jones. Dow Jones finished Friday down 0.4%. Where are you? Here you go. It finished 0.4%. Now here we see the futures. The numbers that I'm telling you, this is for the index itself, right? So it down 0.4% and 1.1% for the week. And as we mentioned last week, interestingly enough, remember I showed you that box with the numbers, and they were saying, according to the data, that after 13 straight sessions, there was in 1987, 9 months later, Dow Jones fell 22% in one day. So I was laughing and said, maybe in 9 months, maybe sooner, we'll be looking at this fall. So it looks like that things might be repeating itself. In any event, after 13 straight sessions, we are selling on Dow Jones. Now S&Ps also down the whole week. As I said, we started the sell-off on Monday, and we finished on Friday with continuation. We did erase the previous 2 weeks of advance move. It's a strong sell-off. Also, if you see on the volume here, as we start accelerating the sell-off, the volume is growing as well. Let's see if it shows on daily chart as well. So S&P down 0.5% for Friday and 2.3% for the week. And it says that it's the worst week since the week of March 10th. So 2.3% fall. And NASDAQ, of course, the tech companies, we'll talk about some individual ones in a moment. Take a look the whole week. We sold, of course, Friday also 0.4% and 2.8% for the week. And also it's the worst week since March 10th. Okay, let's see what March 10th was. March. Okay, so the three indexes sell off. Now take a look. Let's take a look at China. And we are fighting this level that we mentioned for a while, 13,300. Had a nice excitement here, moving higher, came right back, and we back at the level fighting this 13,300 level. And as I always say, I'll bring it up, copper and oil. Let's take a look what they do. Copper sold, right? But oil didn't. And I'll mention it when we get more into commodities. Oil actually had a nice move to the upside. We'll discuss it. Okay, so the whole equity market really sold. So we spoke about China. Let's take a look what Japanese market did. It also sells, and Europeans as well. I just run through them really quick. DAX the whole week, intense sell-off. UK intense sell-off. French intense sell-off. Okay, so we established that the equity, the indices fell strongly, and that started with the Fitch downgrading, and then NFP numbers and employment level really just added that pressure. So we closed the week at the lows. Okay, now let's go into individual stocks, and also as we mentioned last week, there were two major stocks reporting, and that was Amazon and Apple. They both reported on Thursday, I believe. I might have made a mistake last time saying that one of them was reporting on Wednesday. I apologize. They both reported, I think, on Thursday. So let's take a look what they did. Amazon reported pretty good news, and the stock actually went higher. And the truth is, Amazon has been one of the weakest of the group of these giants, as I mentioned a few times, the stock. So we did gap continue higher, but closed at the lows. So if the market continues this upcoming week, we might see Amazon trying to close the gap. But Apple, which is the world's, at least it was, probably with this last move, it's not a 3 billion company, or 3 trillion, sorry, 3 trillion company anymore at the moment. So Apple, as being the most capitalized company, as we mentioned a few weeks back, it reached $3 trillion market capitalization. So they reported the numbers, they were not so bad, but everybody was talking, and we spoke about it a few times, that the sales of iPhones were not so great, and in general, it didn't look so great, judging the whole result. So the stock was trading after market lower, and then of course it opened on Friday with a gap and continued open and closed at the low, a little bit lower, below 182. So of course that affected Nasdaq, as we said, and Nasdaq closed 2.8% for the week. So let's see what this week brings, right? We have public digesting the numbers, digesting the actions of the market. And I guess Monday we'll see what's happening, what kind of orders come to the market. We might see continuation. And if we take a look, I'm just going to bring S&Ps as a general thing. And if you, as I mentioned to you, we did erase the previous 2 weeks of events, and we might actually continue lower this week. So that's as far as equity markets. Let's move to commodities, and let's start with oil, actually, as we mentioned it a second ago. Oil's been super strong, and it's both actually, I'm not sure about demand. It's tricky here, but supply is really shrinking, and there are few things. The last numbers of inventories also dropped in the U.S., which is a sign of lack of oil here. And on the production side, we have Saudi Arabia. They announced that it will continue to hold back an additional 1 million barrels per day, and they will continue into September. So that's one of the things. And also Russia said they will reduce its production as well, which makes me a little bit confused here. I thought that Russia wasn't selling the oil illegally, at least those sanctions. I'm not sure actually. But in any event, the cut of production is really bringing a little bit of concern of lack of oil. And as you could see here, oil pretty much has been going up for a significant amount of weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive weeks we're going higher. And we are actually, I think we're facing here a strong resistance that we failed to break. As you could see here, this sell-off happened in December, the week of December 4th of last year, and the high was 82.70. Then we retested 2 consecutive weeks, pretty much around the same level, 82.64 and 82.61. That was towards the mid and end of January. Then we sold again. Then it looks like we were going to go higher here back in April 9th, week of April 9th. And the high here was 83.52. And then we sold again. And now, like I said, we have 6 consecutive weeks going higher. And we are at the same level trying to break. So let's see if this concern about the supply of oil would contribute to the breakout finally after a while. I mean, we tried pretty much from November of last year. That's 9 months, and we couldn't break that level on few attempts or many attempts. So that's oil, definitely worth watching. If we already at energies, let's take a look at natural gas. Natural gas, it's playing with this 260 level. As we mentioned it many times, we've been talking about natural gas pretty much every week. We were in the channel, and then we were above the 260 for a while. And similar idea here, we tried to oil, we tried to break to 270, 275 every time we reach to that level. We falling back again, and it looks like we're back to treating this level as a resistance. As you could see, the last 3 sessions, we had 2 full candles below the level, and on Friday we tried to test that level and we failed, so we are below 260. So again, if we stay here for a while and start falling, we might go down and retest this recent low of June at around 214, 215. And if we manage to break above again 260 and start building support, we might see continuation to the upside. So definitely natural gas, we'll be watching what's next. Now gold, we'll talk about dollar in a moment, but Friday the dollar sold a little bit, so gold had a little bit of a bounce. And it looks like similar to the previous action here in the end of June. We keep on having support along the 200 moving average, as you could see here. Every time we hit, we bounce back up. So the same thing here. As you could see on Friday, we hit that 200 moving average, and then we went up to 50 and closed that day almost on the 50 moving average. So let's see what this week brings for gold. As you know, as we mentioned, 1955 is a strong level that kept on changing from resistance to support. Currently, it might be again the resistance if we get there. And so far, we managed to stay above 200 moving average. So if we do break below this upcoming week, we might see move to lower levels and shop for support. So that's as far as gold. Soft commodities. Well, let's take a look at wheat and corn. Take a look. Just to remind you and people that are new, we've been talking about it the moment that the Russia pulled out the grain deal. We had a huge move to retest the highs here around 760, 770, and then we cooled down and we sold back to the beginning of this move. So let's see what this week brings again. As far as fundamentals. Now, technicals, if we continue lower, we might challenge this level here, 621 and a half. And we might retest that, or we might just turn around and move higher again. So that's on wheat. Corn, similar situation. We're close to the recent support. This recent move up started from 473 and a half. We're about $11 higher. So if we do continue lower, we'll be challenging this level. And if we turn around and move higher, we might go up and try to retest the recent highs. And the 50-day moving average is on the way as well. Now, we spoke about cotton last week. Let's take a look what it did and what is it doing. If you remember, I mentioned the weekly chart and a very long time of accumulation, and that potentially could mean a strong move. The truth is, we don't really know which way. So we did try to break through it. It came right back. The only thing, it's kind of in a positive for cotton. It's, as you could see, the 50-day moving average crossed above the 200 moving average. That's something that some analysts or chartists are calling golden cross, right? So technically, some traders and investors are looking for these signs for potential buying in this case. And take a look, it crossed below, which called dead cross, I believe. That happened back July 25th of last year, about a year ago exactly. So the whole year, the 50-day moving average stayed below, and the past few days we moved higher. So now we have two aspects. One is a lot of accumulation here. Funny enough, on the weekly charts, the opposite. We actually went into dead cross on the weekly chart. So let's see which one wins. Okay, so again, same situation. The accumulation is continuing. We did test this week. We challenged that top of the channel around 86.90 or $87, and then we came right below. So definitely we'll continue watching cotton. Okay, let's move to the world of currencies, Forex world. And we start with dollar index. Dollar index had a very nice recovery since mid-July. We did, if you remember, I mentioned to you this trend line. I believe we broke below it, and then I think on Wednesday we crossed it to the upside, so it gave a hope for continuation. But 2 days later, Friday, we sold, went back below the trend line. So this week we actually might see continuation to the downside, or maybe we'll challenge that trend line again and see what happens. But as of now, we are below all three moving average on the daily chart, below 200, below 50, and below 100. So definitely we'll be watching what dollar is doing. And of course, with that, the major currencies should be going higher. That's logic, right? And we start with euro dollars. You could see we're back to challenging that 110, the key level, right? So you could see here, we mentioned it a few times. So we sold from the 110 back in April. We challenged it January, the end of January, and then we had a few consecutive weeks. This is the weekly chart I switched to. We had a few consecutive weeks really challenging it. We couldn't close above. And only here, the week of July 9th, we had a super strong move on that day. We closed not only above the level, but also above the 200 moving average. And the past 3 weeks we sold, and we're currently below that level again. But Friday, we challenged that again. So if dollar continues its weakness, we might actually pop up above the 110 and start building support, and maybe be on the way to challenge the recent highs. Everything is possible. Now, USD CAD acts a little bit weird in a way. First of all, it's sold. The dollar index, as we said, let's show it again, sold on Thursday and Friday. It was a strong selling, but it's been super strong against the USD CAD. So I'll explain what I mean in a moment, but first, let's take a look. So we sold from here back on June 12th. We came to retest it on July 7th, and we're here again. So we have a triple top here. Now, why am I saying it's strange? Because as I mentioned to you, oil has been strong, and there's a fear of lack of oil or low inventories, as we mentioned a few minutes ago. So Canadian dollar usually is very sensitive to oil prices. So usually, or in a lot of cases, on the strong crude oil, we have a strength in Canadian dollar. Now here it didn't happen. So it says one thing only, that something is really weak about the Canadian dollar, that it couldn't really get strength on the oil going higher. So definitely we'll be watching this. And we have USD CAD on the breakout here. It's a third or triple top here. So if we have a strength of a dollar, and maybe if we do have a little bit of correction to the downside on crude oil, we might see USD CAD popping up. Let's take a look what it looks like on the weekly chart. Yeah, we could actually see that move to the upside. Just as you know, as I mentioned a lot of times, we have to watch for the relative strength, things that are unusual, right? So definitely USD CAD, we'll be watching. Now, yen. Yen is, as I mentioned last week, it's starting to regain some strength here. And here, dollar yen, second day down. We are testing the 50-day moving average. Let's see what this week brings. And we should continue, as I mentioned, to watch all the pairs with Japanese yen. Take a look. Swiss JPY, Euro JPY, pound is closed below the 50 moving average. We might see continuation. CAD, as I just mentioned, something really weak about the CAD. It was accelerating here on the sell side. Aussie as well, and New Zealand dollar. So all the pairs against the yen will be watching for possible continuation of the strength of the yen. we'll be watching that. And just to mention again, the Swiss JPY for new people, just to bring it up. If you remember a few weeks or every week, pretty much we talk about it, that this level 159.88, that's the level of the year 1979, 44 years ago, we came to this level. I just tried to analyze it again. So we broke through it, came to retest it, established support, made a higher high, came back to retest it, just say, okay, yes, this is support, came back to retest the highs, couldn't break higher. So it could be that we'll return to this level again to retest it. And it could be that this time, if yen continues its strength, and again, if we hear something new, something to support the yen from Bank of Japan, this time we could actually challenge that level and break below. Or on the upside, we have a nice level here that we had a clean double top that it wasn't breaking. So definitely we'll be watching that. And as you could see, that level 159.88, the 50-day moving average around that level as well. So we'll continue watching the Swiss franc JPY this upcoming week. Okay, another pair that we mentioned a few weeks back, I want to bring it back again. It's Euro Aussie. And it's an old story. We've been talking about it for a long time. And then we didn't mention it, I think, for a couple of weeks. But here, it's worth watching. We are approaching this level here from April 26, from which was sold and went into a downtrend for a while. And let's just mark that level, the line here. So 167.85. If we do continue that, we might have a hard time breaking that level, or maybe we can just go through it. But definitely, sometimes history repeats itself. So the moment we hit this level back in April, we sold. We're on the way to test it again. Definitely worth watching. Another pair, I want to bring it up, something we didn't mention yet, is New Zealand dollar Swiss franc. And I'll tell you why. Here you go. This huge spike to the downside on March of 2020. That's where the corona or COVID came in with it. We had a huge sell and then we recovered. So the low here was 0.5298. And take a look. This so we're gonna go back to daily chart. And on Thursday, the low was 0.5305. 7 pips. We didn't touch that level by 7 pips. Definitely we'll be watching this week for reaction to that level. If we get there, we might see a lot of actions here. So this just to bring logic into it, something stopped this move at that specific level. Okay, and simply that means there were buyers there who didn't let it fall. That means they were willing to buy it at that specific price. And doesn't matter how the sellers pushed it, the move stopped right there. So again, the low 0.5298, and we are very close to that level. We tried to touch it on Thursday, and Friday we had a positive day. So we could just turn around, go higher. We can come actually touch that level and bounce back up, or we can touch it and play with it up and down, try to either go lower or have a fake breakdown and get all the stops, because I'm not the only one seeing it, right? Many people see it, many people have similar logic. And let's see what happens. Maybe some buyers already in and have stops around that level, so we might see a spike that will hit all those stops and kick everybody out before we turn around. Or we could just be on the way to make lower lows or all-time lows, okay? So definitely this one is worth watching the upcoming week. And the two regulars that we mentioned every week for a while now, it's the ZAR. ZAR had the very nice reversal. The moment we hit here on the 27th of July, the low here was 1741. And this whole week, we've been going higher until Friday. The weakness of a dollar caused this pair to go lower. So let's see what happens. We are between the 100 and the 50 moving average. Let's see what dollar does this week. And Hungarian forint. This is a weird pair. Not many people are using it, but if you remember, I mentioned it a few weeks in a row, and it's working. We had a move up here, and then I start mentioning it when we were, I think, around here. We had a nice move to the upside, then we sold. Again, similar idea. A lot of people had stops, I guess. They got kicked out. We came right back into this channel, broke the 335 to the upside, and this time we actually challenged this previous high. We closed higher, and only Friday in the weakness of a dollar we sold again, and we hit the 200 moving average. It looks like it is becoming a nice support around here. So let's see how this week will play out for US dollar. And if US dollar regains the strength, we might see continuation to the upside. And if the opposite happens, we might see some action to the downside. Look for the next support. So that's it with the Forex. And let's just take a look really quick at Bitcoin. It's funny, I don't really hear a lot of talks about cryptos. I don't know if you do, but it looks like the excitement is a little bit not there. Let's put it this way. So we are between the 28 and 30,000, right in the middle with a 29. And I guess it's the regular thing. I'm not gonna pretend I know anything what's gonna happen here. We are right in the middle. So we might go down, retest 28, or we might go back up, retest 30. Now this move was really a kind of a positive sign for Bitcoin. A lot of people had hopes that this is it, and then we broke below. So I guess we'll see what happens in the crypto world. And that's it pretty much with technicals. And again, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channels, Twitter, Telegram, YouTube. Please subscribe, hit on the bell, get notified when things are coming, write your comments. I want to thank you all for participating. Again, just to summarize, last week we had a huge sell-off on the markets, was triggered by Fitch downgrading the credit of US, and then NFPs just added that pressure. And this week we'll see after when the public digest all the news. Let's see how this week starts and continues. We have few events. Apple sold, and I think it's a big hit on the market. There were a lot of pressure on it and expectations. And let's see what happens this week. It definitely is going to be an exciting week, even though in August, a lot of people on vacations, but market is not taking a vacation. Enjoy the weekend. Get ready for the eventful week. I want to wish everyone a successful week. All the best. Take care.